All right, good morning. Welcome to Camp Life Skill. Here is orientation. So, as we are born, we become a light in this world. We glow, and other people perceive our light, and we project a glorious, pure, beautiful entity. And then there's this darkness in the world that's crept in. And it can creep into us, and it does to certain folk that give up themselves to that creeping darkness. And then they are the vampiric. Then they need to take the light from others. And I won't get too far into bloodlines, genealogies, tribes, ethnostates, but I will say that major religions wouldn't exist if they didn't have something to relate and bond and grab hold of inside of us that had some inkling that there was truth in it. Now, clearly, people are like, how can all religions be true? I'm not going to get into that. I'm talking about the compulsion, the need for religion, the spiritual fulfillment outside of materialism. The quest for God and understanding is absolutely real. And so there is this darkness in the world, and religions approach it differently. But it's our job to respect it. Now, some people head to high ground because they see the darkness as a rising tide. And some people reach for a torch and a flashlight because they want to dispel the encroaching threat and stay where they are and push their light and the light of others outward. And then there's some that invite the darkness in. And the darkness is a lie, and so the darkness turns the devotees against the other lighted. It has them opposing their own nature. Do you see? It takes the light of a person and it corrupts it so much that that corruption now only sees other light as enemy and source of purpose by consumption. That's the only way evil can grow. It doesn't offer anything. The devil is the god of lies, the true deceiver, the shadow, the thing with no name. Don't you get it? It's the absence, the zero, the nothing, the gap, the nebulous, the ignored. And so it's up to each of us to battle our own darkness, our own devil, our own shadows. And we pick up our own religions and our own tools along the way. But one thing that is universal that all of us need to do together, to work on together, is see the shadow. We have to peer into it. We have to acknowledge that it's there. And what's going on right now is more and more and more people are just living in smaller bubbles and not paying attention to how things are progressing or degenerating. I went to court. I went to the federal courthouse, the county courthouse, a while back, and I said, if both parties are opposite the people, the populist party, then they're completely out of touch, and they're against the people. I said, look at Arizona, look at the county that we're in right now, and we have an abortion clinic in this county. I said, it's time for pushback. I quoted Madison. I said that, tyranny is by small encroaches. It's by dismissals and ignorance. It's by us not paying attention. Tyranny, abortion, child trafficking, the Ponzi scheme that is our economy, the wars, big pharmas making new pandemics to just make more customers and streamline their income. What does all this have in common? It's a worldwide, multi-generational gap in paying attention and clearing out the closet. Like, gotta be careful not to say anything that get the feds knocking on my door, but I see people in the news that for the life of me, I can't understand how they are walking down the street. I can't understand how they can ever show anywhere in public. But let's get to a tangible problem and sizable solution. Because here's what I see going on right now. People getting worked up about gas prices. People getting worked up about baby formula and food on shelves and cost of rent and all kinds of rhetoric. And what does that mean? That means that people are getting pissed off at other people instead of the dicks that ruined everything. Like, you're panicked because you don't have what your family needs or something, and instead of going to the top or going to the heart of darkness where this thing come from, you're fighting a proxy war. You're fighting what's closest to you. You're hollering at the pump or on the drive back, or you're bickering with the people at the grocery store, or you're fussing with your neighbors. Well, damn it, none of these people are pushing the agenda from the top anyways. This 2 weeks thing just fucking slays me. Like, I remember McVeigh, and I remember Kaczynski, and I remember Challenger, and I remember the Walmart shooting in Texas, and like, that sounded kind of random, but what I mean is that every 2 weeks it is another, don't think about what's happened before, look at this next bullshit. And after so many increments of 2 weeks, we now have critical race theory, Marxist methodology. We have 1 million kids killed through abortion every year. We have this ridiculous spectacle that is our election. No part of this is valid. The lobbying, the voting, the districting, the the audit. It's all a fucking Jewish spectacle. We lost control of our media and entertainment. Like, what is this degenerate filth that is on every channel and in every theater and on every search result? Like, we thought, we were trained to think that the people with no attention spans are cute or stupid or whatever. And then we were also meant to look at the people with long attention spans as crazy or anecdotal or burned out, or they turn all into conspiracy theorists because they think too much. So popular media has been like, think, but not too much. Think about this product, about your pain, about how this money-driven solution will fix your ails, how the enemies that are told to you are the ones that are causing your ails and the reason that your product isn't cheaper. They don't want people thinking about what it was like 200 years ago, 100 years ago, 50 years ago when they were a kid. They don't want people putting together that the same people are still in power after all the crises of the economy and the wars and pharmaceuticals and medical. The same people, the same families, the same houses are still running everything. And then the worst is that they don't want us being logical. They don't want us, here it is, they don't want us being awake. Because what is being awake? Is it being conscious and aware? And what is that? Well, I've been saying for a while that it is finding what is most important, true, legitimate, valuable, sincere to you. What is truest, best to you. And focusing on that and seeing if your behavior in the world at large connects to, relates, if it runs parallel to that or not. And then create your, or establish or grow your identity based off of what is most important to you and your reaction, your coveting, your protection, your promotion of that. So I'm going to try to make that a little bit short and sweet. Clear your mind. Figure out what's most important. Ask yourself if you're taking care of what's most important. If you're not, fix that. If you are, move out into the world and just keep double checking yourself. There you go. That's it. But when we do that, we start to answer questions, because we'll find ourselves doing things and go, is this right? And we'll see things happening and go, does this line up with my convictions? Is this principally sound? Is this based? And if it's not, then, well, if we want to keep being who we are, we have to do something about it. In other words, we need to have character and be men. And the creeps that run the world don't want that. And the way that they keep us from being men is by having us remain children afraid of the dark, not looking at the dark, listening to the boob tube, listening to the ice cream man, listening to the doctor and the school nurse. Once you tune out the crap and you start working it out for yourself, then you realize that a healthy way of living, and a Christian way, and a moral way, and an ethical way, and a good way, just simply don't line up with what's going on. Then you have the existential dilemma, the crisis, that we are all meant to have when we are born into this bullshit matrix. This if we are those puppies or chimps or whatever that are born in labs, getting shots and eye drops and skinned and tattooed and all this stuff under fluorescent or halogen lights our whole lives in metal cages, then don't you think it's going to be a bit of a fucking shock once we step outside on the grass and see blue sky and hear birds for the first time? Don't you think it's going to be wild to catch your first cool breeze once you're out of the lab? We need to repel the darkness. First, you got to see that it's there. It is. Is there abortion where you're at? Yeah. Or is Marxism and Kalergi in full effect? Yeah. Do you know what Luxism is? Pharmaceuticals, 5G, chemtrails, vaccine versus, how about SIDS? How about autism? How about developmental growth? Once you start figuring it out, and then once you start figuring out the one thing that they all have in common, I'll save you some time there, okay? The people that push the shittiest agendas do so because they're the most ruthless. The most ruthless have sold out. What does that mean? They picked money over being a human being. They are now part of the demonic hive. Got it? So the people at the top that have all the money making all the decisions, they're ruthless, demon-controlled shitbags. I owe them no allegiance. So the best we can do right now is step away from the system, identify who we are and be that. And of course, always call out the enemy as you see it. Call out ignorance. Call out apathy. Call out Jewish business practices. Call out usury. Call out Marxism and communism. Call out lying cowards and connivers. Call out lying lawyers and stupid-ass politicians and centrists. If your country and your world isn't where it should be, then anybody that has any power above you is failing, and you need to light a fire under their ass. Godspeed.